Is Toy Story 4 as amazing as people say it is? Or is it just child's play? Huh?
Oh, Matt.
That and more on today's episode of The Real Review. So stay tuned.
Welcome to The Real Review.
Welcome to The Real Review, sponsored by Parametric and Lazy Ape Studios, where you get some of the latest happenings, real thoughts, and perspectives in the world of film and television. Everybody, I am here with Joel, yes, he, Canada, Cunningham.
That was one of my biggest happy moments, was figuring out that was Keanu Reeves
and
then having him be the voice of that character.
It's pretty great.
Yeah, I talked about this before. I'm going to just bring it up right at the get-go.
Do it.
I had a chance to see a sneak preview of this one.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure they didn't have Keanu Reeves as the voice of the O Canada guy.
Oh, yeah. They probably had a placeholder until they could get somebody they wanted.
So that was like a nice surprise for me when I was like, oh, it's Keanu Reeves.
Right.
It was so good.
He probably recorded all of his lines of dialogue in like a day.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the reason why they can get some of these big names for some of these cartoons.
Yeah.
There's another one they showed a preview for just before the movie started. I'm trying to remember the name of it. But
was it the awful one?
It was really...
Arctic Dogs.
Yeah.
Awful.
And they had like big names.
Jeremy Renner.
Yeah, I was like,
and,
wow,
Alec Baldwin.
I'm surprised they're getting these names, but it looked horrible.
It looked so bad.
Yeah.
There's some really bad jokes.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm here with Matt, whose pants are white as snow. Hey.
That's false, but awesome.
They're kind of whitish.
They look, maybe in here they're gray. They're
Yeah.
totally gray, but whatever.
Well, they look white under this yellow light. How
It's all
about
good.
that?
I'm colorblind, so I'll just go with that.
I
Okay.
can say your hat is white as snow. How about that?
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, everybody, thank you for tuning into the show. Welcome to The Real Review. It's good to have you here. Just to give you a reminder, kind of what we have going on, how it all works, and break it down for you. Joel is the pessimist, the negative, critical,
Throw it right out there,
analytical.
Yeah, no beating around that bush, Matt. Just right at it.
No, Joel tends to approach things, let's say, with a little more caution than I do. When I approach things, I'm a little bit more like just joyful. Is it fun? Yay! This is going to be exciting.
Yay,
everything is awesome.
Yeah,
not
awesome.
quite to the extent of Emmett from the Lego Movie, but tend to be a little bit more positive just because I approach things a little differently. It doesn't necessarily mean one of us is right or wrong.
Yeah.
Just different perspectives. And that's what we bring, a combo of the two to bring you what we like to think of a well-rounded real review of sorts. So anyways, that's us. Joel, why don't you tell people how they can get connected with us?
For sure, Matt. So there's some good ways to get connected to the podcast. As always, we have our website, which is realreviewmedia.com, where we are posting our content, all the stuff that we come out with, so you can access it from your platform of choice. And then additionally, we have Facebook, which is facebook.com/realreviewmedia. We've got the Instagrams and the Twitters, which are both at Real Review Media. We have a YouTube, which is youtube.com/The Real Review, although we're not doing too much right now with video. We're revamping our video side of things. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it, hopefully. And then last but not least, we'd love to hear your thoughts and perspectives on the films that you've had a chance to see, thoughts on our reviews, what you think we're doing well. Don't tell us what we're doing badly, because we have very sensitive egos. No, just kidding. Let us know your thoughts and perspectives. Shoot us an email, realreviewmedia@gmail.com. Love to hear your thoughts.
Right on. Well done. Way to break that down, Joel.
I thought you were about to say the wait is over. I was like, yeah, I guess
the wait is over, Joel.
Let's get to it.
So let's break it down for you. I'm gonna start this thing off because Joel got to see this movie like 6 months ago, and I was a little bummed out that I didn't get to partake. So
I'm sorry, I only had 4 tickets, man.
Yeah, it's okay. There's only one of you, so I don't know what you did with the 3 extra tickets, but
I took up a lot of space in that theater.
You're like, I laid down.
I was super excited. Yeah, I took a nap. And no, I'm kidding. Yeah.
Okay, so Toy Story 4. When a new toy called Forky joins Woody and the gang, a road trip alongside old and new friends reveals how big the world can be for a toy. Directed by Josh Cooley, written by a number of people, including John Lasseter, Andrew Stanton, and stars all your favorite pals: Tom Hanks, Tim Allen, Annie Potts, Tony Hale, Keegan-Michael Key, Madeline McGrath, Christina Hendricks, Jordan Peele, Keanu Reeves, and much more. Much more.
All my pals, man.
Yes. So you've already kind of briefly talked about this and a little bit at the tag of last week's episode and then like months ago when you saw it. But let me kind of bring this up because I haven't seen it until just this past weekend, and we I think had a touch because the Toy Story trilogy is probably famous for being like one of the best trilogies out there.
Yeah.
For sure in the land of animation, but probably for like all movies.
Yeah.
It's got a high level of consistency across the board, 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
And just the wit, the humor, and the story, just in general, the heart behind everything. And a lot of people were very skeptical going into this movie because you're like, why are we having Toy Story 4? I remember you telling me specifically, like, what this, I don't think there's going to be a reason why this movie needs to be made.
Yeah, legitimately only one thing had been left uncovered, and they covered it a lot in this film.
And that one thing you're referring to, I didn't even see that as like a plot hole. Like I kind of like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't
and
think most people did.
Yeah, and I just kind of brushed it off like, okay, whatever. They're moving on. But yeah, so and you see this in the trailers, but we see Bo Peep come back. We kind of get a story about what's going on with that. Let me just say, I did really enjoy this movie. It was funny, more like chuckle funny than laugh out loud funny for me, but I really enjoyed myself. I had a grin on my face for most of the time.
Yeah.
Not if it wasn't funny, it was because there's like a nostalgia factor. And I think one of the big parts for that, and I didn't think this would be the case, but going into it, Forky was one of my favorite things about this movie.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to be obnoxious, to be honest with you. In the trailers, I thought he was just going to be this obnoxious character, but he had this like naivety, like childlike innocence without being obnoxious.
Right. He was on the cusp of like what you would like. You kept thinking like maybe eventually he's going to get annoying.
So
I think part of that is the actor Tony Hale.
Oh yeah, he's great.
He's Buster in
Bluth.
Arrested Development. Yeah, and I love him in that show. And he does this really good job of being an adult but a child.
Yeah. Kind
of at the same time in a non-annoying way. It's like his character that he's just perfect at, and he nailed it. I think in a lot of ways. Yeah.
Yeah. In addition to that, this movie looks amazing.
Yeah.
There are many shots that I was like, that looks like they're actually taking a video of real life. That doesn't look like animation.
Yeah, they've come a long way. I mean, especially if you look at
I feel like we've said that
one.
A lot of times too. As they progress, but they just get better. Like I was like, especially at the beginning, there's a scene like, and it's like raining, and I was like, this looks like real.
Yeah.
This looks like a real house in the street and rain. Like, what is going on?
One of the things they did so well, I think, in As of the Good Dinosaur, which I wasn't a huge fan of the film, but visually that film was almost at times, many times, photorealistic. They got so good with the lighting. And that's what really starts to, I think that's really the difference that you start to see from film 1 and film 2. There's shadowing you see in the original Toy Story. This one, you can actually see the light of different objects like, reflecting off their faces and creating this like plasticity that they're supposed to have because they're toys. And it just creates this sense of like, wow, those are real people, things, objects, not people, real toys.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah.
I really enjoyed myself, and it's a well done entry into this quadrilogy now.
Yeah.
And this might be the most consistent film franchise ever.
Agreed.
4 movies, and they're all really good.
Yeah, they've all gone through different production arcs, and the first one was like it's actually interesting if you ever watched the story of Pixar, and kind of Toy Story was their big groundbreaking film that came out. That was such a troubled production, but it set the framework for them in how they were going to go about making productions happen. And one of the things I do respect about them, for the most part, hasn't always played out this way, but they really try to only release something when they feel like it's ready for it. And
unless
they give
they're
it
like
the time
Cars.
unless they're like Cars,
Cars
certain
trilogy.
other things.
Like, yeah, it's okay.
And there's certain projects you've seen that like, I just don't really get where this was, coming from. But they really do spend their time, and they push back films often. They're famous for the, coming eventually or like coming soon. So it's nice to see that this was another one that it didn't feel like they just kind of rushed out the door with and trying to make like a bunch of, because Toy Story is super marketable. They've got rides and they've got toys and they've got all these things. So it really felt like they took their time with developing the story, and they came at it from a different angle. And I think what this one did well, because I keep asking myself like, well, what new side of things can they show with these toys? Like they've literally gone from, just being the best toy they can be and not getting killed to like, what is the meaning of their existence and why are they there? This film really goes into the idea of like what are they going to do for how are they going to exist?
Right.
Because there's been this ongoing problem that they've dealt with of like, well, once children grow up and they get rid of their toys, then what do they do?
Yeah.
And so this one really kind of goes into that, and it's like, well, where's the deeper purpose that goes beyond, like, kids are still the most important thing for them, but how do they continue to be successful at that?
And one thing
finding
I really
their place
like
in the world, in a sense,
is a franchise like this. You run the risk of like doing the same story beats, over and over again. Not just story beats, but the actual overall arcing story. Like, it could potentially be, it's just about, finding your kid and, being there for
being
them.
the
all
best
that
toy for the kid.
Right, exactly. So this one goes a whole different direction.
Yeah.
And it's good.
Yeah.
It's good. It's not like a weird retread. It's a new idea, and it takes it into a new place. And I would be more than happy to see a Toy Story 5 in the next few years. I mean, they could.
They could. I've already had thoughts like how maybe they could make that happen.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Ducky and Bunny were really good.
Ducky and Bunny were great. Yeah.
Really, really good.
Yeah.
They have a couple of scenes, guys. If you see it, you'll know that it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Other than that, I really don't have. I don't know if I have a lot. To like criticize it.
What I would say that it was interesting because I just have to briefly talk about it. Seeing the two different versions.
Oh, that's right. You do have the before and after.
Right. The first version I saw, we talked about this, was about probably like 35% of it was actually animated.
Yeah.
And the remaining of it was just like not even figures, just drawing storyboards. Yeah. We had a chance to see The Incredibles 2.
Yeah, we did that.
In the same way, but that one had a lot more animation and had some weird, odd moments of animation. Yeah. This one was literally like great animation or just drawings.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And a lot of like voiceover work was there, but a lot of it wasn't as well.
Yeah.
It was interesting to see, to me, the impact of the animation, and then additionally the minor changes that they made throughout. And weirdly, I liked the movie more the first time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I get why they made some of the changes that they did. I can't go too into detail because I honestly, at this point, it's been like many months.
Right.
So I can't give you like specifics on certain areas, but there was a sense with the first one, it was weird. It was almost more of an adult film.
Really?
Yeah, the humor hit harder. The sequences and the action, even though it was just drawings, felt more hard-hitting.
Okay.
And kind of like abrupt.
So maybe there was a realization to the action and the elements of the what actually plays out on screen that didn't like translate.
Some of it could have been that, and that's why I don't want to grade that too harshly. But I think that could have been a part of it. It felt like what happened was somebody came in and they said we need to do kind of some softening of some of these edges, to kind of make this more kid friendly and approachable. So there was moments, and some of the characters also changed. The dialogue that they had changed, and the way that they approached things. I mean, there was I can't talk as well about some of it without spoiling the movie, but there was more of a back and forth with Bo Peep and Woody about choices that they should make and why they should make those choices. Like that got cut out of the film, and it became a really simple thing. And then I remember sort of the main antagonistic character of the film, Giggle, not Giggle.
No.
Sorry,
Gabby.
Yeah. She had a much darker kind of edge to her in the first version. And this one, she came across much more as sort of an empathetic
I was to
character.
say, so she was portrayed as like the villain almost, but at the same time, I don't feel like she actually was a villain.
Right.
It was kind of like this, it was creepy. It was really creepy. Like ventriloquist dummies. Like it was all that whole thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. They made it almost like, well, she's just kind of misunderstood and she's going to really bad lengths to try and accomplish what she wants.
Yeah.
But it's for a good reason deep down. In the original version, she was much more of like an antagonistic character, and her story's ending was much more abrupt. It was more of like Woody kind of just doing what he needed to do in order to get to the next stage, and helped her out because he's just a good toy.
Right.
And then it kind of ends pretty abruptly. But so, like I said, with that kind of a thing, it was more adult sensibility. You're kind of left to understand certain aspects on your own. This one kind of, it felt more like they're going to slowly kind of meander through certain aspects a bit more. But even still, even saying that, with the changes that they made, I still really liked it.
Awesome.
I still really enjoyed it. I think, if anything, that would be a minor point of I guess, gripe was Gabby's character felt a little bit just kind of there.
Right.
She didn't really feel like she was like more of a vehicle to kind of move the story forward, to do different things. But her character, as far as like an antagonist, never really seemed like that much of a threat or that big of a bad type thing. But I love the addition of Forky. I thought
Forky, yeah.
he was great. We already talked about the animation. I thought that was really good. I think they put in a new story to this world that we hadn't seen before, and they did it in a different way with different beats. This one had surprisingly, I don't want to say it, like, this is more of a negative for me, I guess, but like the heart of the story felt more about, and maybe this needs to happen, but it's more of like, look how far the toys have come and where they are now. That kind of was more the heart pings of purpose and like, well, this is their story and where they're going. That was more of it, less than like love between two characters being separated. Yeah. You know, and the sadness behind that, which in the past has kind of been more of that of,
for sure,
you know, accomplishing this quest of, you know, love and purpose in a sense. This one was much more about like purpose, and then, you know, so I want to say it's almost like nostalgia pings. Like nostalgia pains, like you're in pain because of sort of the nostalgia of knowing these characters and kind of the journey that they've gone through. But like I said, maybe that's necessary. Maybe that's because we've had 4 films now, and there's you kind of have to go with more of a nostalgia type thing. You can't really go with like, well, the exact same scenario of like, you know, well, are they going to make it back to their kid? And, you know, da-da-da-da-da.
Oh, yeah, we didn't talk about this. I know we mentioned at the beginning, but that Duke Kaboom was Keanu Reeves.
Great.
Really awesome.
Yeah, he was hilarious.
Really awesome. He's so good.
His posing was amazing.
Just all over that bike,
yeah. I think it went into some interesting areas. I mean, it delved into the idea of like, what's a toy? Yeah. Like, how do you define? Because that's a fair question to ask. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, I could play with a box. That could be a toy. So how do I? Does that start to talk and move on its own? You know,
once you dub a toy, it becomes a living thing.
Yeah, it's like, so how does that work? And so that was interesting because
this LaCroix can, I think I could use as a toy.
We paint a face on it.
Start talking.
All you gotta do is sign the bottom of it, apparently, and then it's it's gonna start talking and moving when we're not around. You know,
trash.
Yeah, trash. Yeah, I thought that was fun. I think the best humor was probably the duck and the bunny combo.
Ducky and Bunny.
Yeah,
that was really good. And I love how as the Jordan Peele, Keegan Michael Key, Key and Peele, like the combo. It was just a really good, really good thing. Yeah. Really, really awesome.
And I guess one last minor, didn't like it too much. I think, although I understood it.
Which one?
The sort of the main conflict that kind of divided the characters close to the end of the film. Okay. Felt a bit manipulated.
Oh, it did?
Yeah. Because it was resolved so like, oh yeah. Yeah. And then they're like, fine.
You know what's interesting is Buzz Lightyear wasn't as forefront as you might think he would be in like he's like, when you think of Toy Story, you think of Woody and Buzz. Yeah. You know?
He came more into the second act.
Right. And even then he still wasn't really as like in the thick of things. But but I don't think it needed it. It was fine.
They've got so many characters and they introduced Forky and you have to give like time between Forky and Woody, and this story, like if I had to say it was driven, it's always more around Woody. Yeah. But this story was definitely more driven around Woody's character.
I will say, Tom Hanks's voice was not sounding as young and spry as it used to be.
Quite as spry as it used to be.
I felt like I could tell that he was trying to like sound younger, like a little bit. But I think it's okay because he's aging along with his character. It's funny.
Without delving into spoilers too much here, it'll be interesting to see what direction they would take if they do a Toy Story 5 and kind of how that his role and involvement and the other characters' roles and involvements and how that's going to play out. I have some ideas of my own of how that could potentially go, but
for sure.
Maybe that was a very purposefully done move to kind of like, gracefully change the story in different ways. Yep. Again, without spoiling.
For sure.
For
sure. So, Anyways, let's see here. Anything else you can think about the movie you want to break it down to before we give our scores?
No, I mean, music was good. I like the music. Same old,
You got a friend in me. Yeah. Anyways, what would you rate this thing? Actually, I want to hear from you. What would you rate it the first time, and what would you rate it now? Like, what's that look like for you?
Yeah, I think First time I saw it, I rated it like a 91.
Mm-hmm.
This one I'm actually going to give about an 88.
Okay.
So it's not super lower.
No.
It's definitely one of the better films of the year I've seen
Yeah,
so
for sure.
far. It's weird. I remember like in the first one, there was moments that we were just laughing out loud,
Yeah.
and just some of the humor and the craziness of it. And it gave me a real emotional roller coaster and ride, whereas this one kind of felt just like a slow, steady, nostalgic, fun,
I think I can feel
interesting
that.
ride.
I think I can feel that. And I'm going to give it a 90.
Okay.
Really enjoyed it, but then again, I don't have the contrast of what you had the first time around other than what you were telling me about it.
I'm trying not to be too harsh because that could be some of it, It's
Right,
like,
right,
I've
right.
already seen it, so it's not as new
exactly.
and fresh. Yeah.
But yeah, so no, it's actually good. It is one of the better movies of the year, and it's going to get it's going to be one of those A movies for me, and I've only had like 2 or 3 of those this year so far. So
it's been a rough one.
So
What?
far.
You didn't like Dark Phoenix?
No, my goodness. My goodness. Anyways, let's not talk about Dark Phoenix ever.
No.
But yeah, so guys, if you got a chance to see Toy Story 4, tell us what you thought about it. Is it a worthy entry into the franchise Toy Story? I think it is. Joel think it is.
Mm-hmm.
And we really did enjoy it. But let us know. Email us at realreviewmedia@gmail.com. Let us know. Also, let us know on our social media accounts. That can be facebook.com, Instagram, Twitter. I am having a hard time with my words today.
Sorry, man.
Twitter?
Yeah.
.com @realreviewmedia. You can do all that fun stuff there. Reach out to us. Let us know what you thought. Let us know what you're excited for, what's left this summer. We have Spider-Man coming out in 2 weeks, right?
Spider-Man.
Like a week and a half, though, actually.
Yeah.
It comes out on a Tuesday.
It does come out on a Tuesday.
That's weird.
It is weird. I don't know.
understand that.
No.
Okay.
And we'll be having, one way or another, Marvel's going to be releasing their big plans.
Oh, man.
Phase
Maybe
4.
it's because they want to give it more time before Comic-Con hits.
Possible.
I am hearing, guys, this is unrelated to Toy Story. So if you're a Toy Story reviewer, like,
But
I
I'm
don't care about
smiling because I
Spider-Man.
know what you're about to say.
I am hearing that there is some majorly one of the best end scenes twists things that happens in a movie, in a Marvel movie.
That's what I've heard.
In Spider-Man Far From Home.
That's what I've heard too.
I'm so excited. I don't know what it could be. I kind of have like maybe some ideas, but I'm going to go into it just optimistic, and I want to have my mind blown.
I have like in the back of my head an idea of what it could be.
Me too.
Because it ties into their Phase 4 plans.
Right. But we don't know their Phase 4 plans
We
yet.
don't. No. So,
But
this
could be really exciting.
It could be. And they've said that they're re-releasing Endgame with additional end footage, which could tie into their Phase 4 as well. So yeah.
Crazy.
It would be crazy.
It comes out
I'm
right before-
hoping SDCC is the place. They've announced they're going to be there.
Yeah.
But they have D23 just a little bit after that.
Right.
So my feeling is, hey, why are they going to go to a big event like Comic-Con and just talk about nothing?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
They're going to talk about something.
Yeah.
They're going to talk about something. DC pulled out, so they're in, and they're going to like own the
That's
space.
what, like, why else as well would DC pull out unless they like knew that they're
They're like, all right, guys, Marvel's going. Let's just not go this year.
It kind of feels that way though, because they've got no big reveals
Right.
for plans. I mean, they
Right.
could show some footage, which I would love to see of the new Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, all right.
Whatever.
Anyway, I'm excited for it.
We love talking about that stuff, but if you have any thoughts, email us that stuff too, guys. Other than that, though, anything else, Joel?
Morbid question.
What's your morbid question?
I'm not going to even ask it.
Okay.
I'll ask you after we're done recording because it's too morbid for our family friendly.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I'm just thinking like, well, if you just write your name on something, then does that turn it into a toy? Could you just,
No, I don't think it's a name that does that.
Okay.
I think it's like you're made, and like the intention is you're making the thing into a toy.
Okay.
Like it like senses the intention.
Okay.
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't
I don't even know what it is.
All right.
What are we even talking about,
We'll
Joel?
talk about it later, Matt.
Anyways, well, thanks for tuning in, guys, and it's been real.
It's been real.